Welcome into the In the Money podcast for Thanksgiving Day. Tom Leach, along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Mutuals and Simulcasting. And we're going to have a podcast for this Thanksgiving card at Churchill Downs on the late pick 4, which includes 2 stakes races. And then we are going to be back with a Saturday podcast on the big stakes card on Saturday at Churchill with all the 2-year-olds and take a shot at have getaway day at Churchill Downs on Saturday. But let's start, Jim, with the 10th race on the Thanksgiving Day card. And we always have a big crowd for this Thanksgiving Day at Churchill. It's a couple of good races here to talk about in the stakes. The Grade 2 Falls City for 3-year-old fillies and mares, 3-year-old and up, 1.125 miles. And you've got a horse that was in the Kentucky Oaks, Go Maggie Go, in here. Got Include Betty, who I think was in the Oaks last year. Who did you land on?
Yeah, when I first looked at this, I thought Include Betty was a single, and simply because of the back class. She was in, she was kept Grade 1 company all last year. But then I took a look at her form this year, and she hasn't won in 2016. She got close last time out, but they dropped her down to a $90,000 allowance race after she didn't run that well in the Ruffian at Belmont. She came back to Parks, caught a muddy track. Proctor probably has her ready for this, but I didn't think that she was a standout here. The other one, Go Maggie Go, ran in the Oaks and came back and won the Grade 2 Black-Eyed Susan on the day before Preakness Day. Ran okay in the Acorn and then tried Songbird in the Alabama, and that was a big mistake. So Go Maggie Go is probably my top choice in here, but I didn't feel like that either one of those two was a slam dunk. So I went to the outside and going to use both those horses, and I'm going to take a shot with Streamline, the 11. She ran in the Apple Blossom at Oaklawn and ran really well, only got beat a couple lengths by Forever Unbridled. And she then was off until about 3 weeks ago and came back at a prep race at Churchill. She obviously wasn't ready to leave that race. I'm thinking she might get back to her spring form and pull an upset here from the outside. I think a lot of the money going to go on Include Betty and Go Maggie Go. I'm also going to use No Fault of Mine in the pick 4 that we'll talk about in a few minutes just because of her consistency. But Streamline is my upset pick here, and I don't really know why. I had some negatives on Include Betty and Go Maggie Go. Go Maggie Go hadn't been out since the Alabama, and she may just wire this field. But I think that it's going to be a lot more competitive than the morning line of 9-5 on Include Betty and 8-5 on Go Maggie Go.
I am right with you. The 3 horses I wrote down were Go Maggie Go, Include Betty, and Streamline. And I thought Streamline's got a big shot at a price. I ended up taking Go Maggie Go for the win pick in here. I like the classy 3-year-olds this time of year, and she's had a series of good works and going week by week. So it looks like she's ready to go for Romans, and he likes these big days at Churchill, certainly on to go for that winner's circle. So I'm going to take Go Maggie Go for the win pick, but I like Include Betty and Streamline on my pick 4 ticket. The 11th race is the Grade 3 River City handicap on the turf at 1 1/8 for 3-year-olds and up. You've got the Pizza Man here, I figure, to be a pretty good favorite. If you don't like the Pizza Man, then I think it's kind of like that race Guinevere won last week. If you don't like the favorite, then the rest of them, you could go a lot of different directions. I ended up, I like the Pizza Man a lot in here. This horse, I thought, kind of lost his top form for most of this year, but lately it looks like has cycled back into that good form that we saw last year. And anything close to the top form for the Pizza Man, I think, is a big class edge here. He's won at this track, so I think that's a plus. So I like the Pizza Man a lot in this spot. Others I would use with him in exactas, keying on the Pizza Man, would be Granny's Kitten, the 13, 12, Pluven, 3, Thatcher Street, who loves this turf course, and Are You Kidding Me, who's also entered in the Clark, so might scratch. Who do you like?
The only thing I have a negative on the Pizza Man is I go back to a race that he ran in the Shadwell turf last year, caught a yielding track, so I don't know if it's a true testament to his ability or not, but the distance may be a little short for him. I mean, he ran a mile, and it was certainly too short for him, but after that he came back and they ran him 1.5 miles, and he just blossomed. And his most recent win was in Northern Dancer, 1.5 miles at Woodbine. So the 1.8 miles just might be a little bit too short for him. I don't think I want to take a price that may not even be as good as the 5-2 morning line. He may be 8-5. So I went with Poivin. I think Phil Sims, this horse ran in the Shadwell this year and had the lead at the top of the stretch and gave it up, but it was 62-1. And Miss Temple City beat him, but he only got beat by 3 lengths to Miss Temple City, Ironicus, and Tourist. Those 3 came back and ran pretty well in the Breeders' Cup, and Tourist won the Breeders' Cup Mile. So I think Poivin, on the other hand, stretches out to a 1.8 miles only for the second time in his career, and he might just hang on a little bit longer than people think. So I'm going to, Lannery's riding 9-2 is a lot more palatable price than the Pizza Man's short prices. Are You Kidding Me is the other horse that I would use in here for Roger Atfield if he actually does run in this race. And then take a little flyer on in the bottom of the trifecta on Taglebe. Moves up in class for Maker, but in good form right now. I like to buy a progression the last couple of races out. And we actually doesn't move up in class because he ran the Canadian International and got a 99 buyer there. So that was his first time in graded stakes, and he didn't embarrass himself. Switches from Giroux to Le Peroux, which is probably a good trade-off and an even trade. So I think Glebe has a shot at a price in here, but I'll go with Poivin as my pick in the River City Handicap.
Let's take a look at the late pick 4, which starts in the 9th race and includes the 2 stakes. The horses I liked in the 9th, which is non-winners of 2 other than allowance, is Magic of Believing on the cutback to a mile and a big effort off the layoff, and then got claimed by Maker. But I also like Birdsong, Seeking the Soul, and Laddie Boy, who beat Magic of Believing last time. So those 4. I'll use the 3 I mentioned in the Fall City, Go Maggie Go, Include Betty, and Streamline. I'm going to single the Pizza Man because I want to go 6 deep in the last leg, a 5K claiming race. Didn't have a strong opinion. I like the 3, 5, 7, 8, 10, and 11, so 6 deep there. If your budget allows it and you want to add another one in the River City, I might take a look at Thatcher Street just on the affinity for this turf course. So that's what I look like, 4x3 by 1x6, or could be 4x3 by 2x6 if your budget permits. How about you?
Well, I'm going to give you a completely different. Maybe I'm a better handicapper with really cheap horses. I'm going to single that last leg that you're going 5 deep in. So maybe I found my level. I don't know. The first race is the one that I really couldn't separate them. The 2 top picks were Magic of Believing and Laddie Boy. They ran right together last time out. I really couldn't make a case why they should be that much better than the rest of the field. And those 2 are 6-1 and 8-1. So I'm going to go 7 deep here. I'm going to use Luck of the Kitten, the 1, Gotham News, the 2, Big Squeeze, the 4, Birdsong, the 5, Seeking the Soul, the 6, Magic of Believing, the 8, and Laddie Boy, the 11. So 7 deep. In the Fall City, I'm going to go 4 deep, the 6, 8, 10, 11 that we talked about with Include Betty, Go Maggie Go, No Fault of Mine, and Streamline. Then in the feature race, I would go 4 deep, 1, 5, 7, 12, the 4 horses that I talked about, which as I get my papers here shuffled around, is Are You Kidding Me, Taglebe, the Pizza Man, and the outside horse for Poivin for Lannery. And then I'm going to single a 10 horse in the last leg. I really think that at least on current form, even though you're looking at a cheap race, I think that 10 is a standout. Capina for Michael Maker, 15 wins lifetime. The horse got in the allowance $5,000 starter company and just killed them for weeks, for months and months at Turfway and Arlington Park. And I just think has enough back class to overcome this. The $5,000 claiming level, dropping to its lowest level ever. So I'm going to take the 10 horse as a single in the last leg. I think that's a $56 ticket.
Happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and best of luck if you choose to play on Thanksgiving Day. Good card, Churchill, with some big fields. So best of luck, and remember, we'll have another podcast coming up for the Saturday card at Churchill. For Jim Goodman, I'm Tom Leach. This is the In the Money Podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.